Hello, Hubble as well. So today it's a really quick video on this thing here, which is the Mesa Boogie Electra Dyne. So this is a combo that was converted into, well, a head unit. And as you can see here, you know, it's, well, maybe not the perfect kind of fit, but I do think it looks quite nice. So we're looking at basically one set of controls, and it's a shared EQ across, I don't know if it's 3 channels per se, but I kind of look at it as having like 3 modes. So we have a clean mode, a high mode, and then a low mode. And you can toggle between these using the foot switch. It also has a built-in reverb, which you can activate on the back or like switch it in and control it as well. However, on this unit, the reverb tank, I believe, is faulty, so I haven't been able to use it. So the thing is, why did I buy another amp like this? And well, I owned this amp before. I had the Electra Dyne combo, but it weighed a metric ton, or maybe not quite, but it was well over, like, I think 35 odd kilos or around that kind of mark. And it might have had wheels, but it was pretty horrific to kind of try and, you know, carry around or walk upstairs and things like that. So it was a case of like, well, you know, I can maybe get something else that can do kind of the same thing of why I got it. And in essence, that was kind of like a pedal platform amp. And well, I might have some other amps that I use, such as, well, I have the VHT Deliverance, I've got the Marshall Mini Plexi, the SV20H, and I've also got the Vox AC10. And well, the thing is, you know, the amount of headroom on tap on each of those is kind of different. So the Vox AC10 doesn't have heaps of headroom, but it can take pedals quite well. At least I like how it reacts and sounds, but it's not something I'm going to be taking out much. And recording it with a mic, I don't seem to get the kind of results that I want, at least for now. So that's maybe something I have to tweak further. And well, I could put pedals into the VHT, but I don't think it's really suited best for that kind of application. And then I could do the same on the Marshall SV20H as well, but it doesn't really have that headroom. So there isn't really like that plexi clean. In essence, the best, I think, clean tone that you're going to get out of, you know, like a plexi style circuit is essentially like rolling back the volume on your guitar, and you've got a bit of, well, volume or gain or whatever on the amp itself. So that doesn't really work for what I'm after. So the cool thing about the Electra Dyne is that it takes pedals extremely well. So it has a lot of headroom, you know, it's 90 watts, so it can go down to 45 watts. And it's always really clear sounding, but with a lot of weight to the tone as well. So putting pedals through that and going through a cab or playing, in this case, through the load box, like the pedals that I'm putting through it, it sounds really clear and, well, articulate. And I'm also getting that weight to the tone as well, which is really nice. One thing I'll note is that in the two other modes, and I'm not sure if it's because the preamp tubes in this amp are kind of, well, old and a bit tired. So I think the preamp tubes in there are at least 10 years old, and it might be something to change at some point. But it all still really works, and for a pedal platform usage, it definitely works well. However, I think in the high and the low modes, in demos I've seen online, there's definitely more gain on tap. So maybe there's a complement of tubes in there that kind of affect that. So there's maybe a bit less gain going on those two modes. They are nice to play through, but I'm not really getting the levels of gain that I've heard online. So I was getting more of like, I guess, a light kind of crunch, which was still really nice to play through and quite articulate, I think, as well. But I was kind of expecting a bit more gain, especially when listening to other demos online. So that's just something to bear in mind here. In any case, if you're looking for a different kind of amp for like pedal platform, because these are no longer made, this might be something to look into if you can find one for a good price. In any case, hope you got something out of that. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.